Have you ever found yourself holding back from doing something you really wanted to do, just because you were worried what someone else might think? Maybe it was wearing a certain outfit, speaking up at a gathering, or even trying something new like a painting class or joining an online group. You felt that little voice whispering, "What if I look silly? Or people might judge me?" If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the truth: after 60, it's time to stop carrying that weight. It's time to let go of that pressure and start living on your own terms. The older we get, the more we realize how precious time really is. And yet, so many of us still spend our days trying to meet someone else's expectations. Maybe it started back in school when we were afraid to stand out. Or maybe it grew stronger during our working years when we had to fit a certain mold to succeed.
But now?
This chapter of life is different. You've earned the right to be free from all that. Not just free in theory, but actually free to be who you are without apology. You see, worrying about what others think doesn't just chip away at your confidence, it robs you of joy. It makes you second-guess your decisions. It can even make you feel invisible. And that's no way to live, especially now, when you finally have the time to do more of what makes you feel alive. Now I get it. Letting go of other people's opinions doesn't happen overnight. It's a habit many of us have carried for decades. But the beautiful thing is, habits can change. And every step you take toward caring less about what others think is a step toward something much more valuable: inner peace. Let's talk about why this matters so much after 60. For one, your priorities have probably shifted. The things that felt so important in your 30s or 40s, climbing the ladder, keeping up appearances, being liked by everyone, those things might not hold the same power anymore. Maybe you've realized that life is too short to waste energy on trying to impress people who don't really see you. Or maybe, just maybe, you've gotten a glimpse of how good it feels to do something just because it brings you joy. One of the most freeing moments comes when you finally say, "I'm not here to live someone else's version of my life." That simple shift, just that one mindset, can open doors you didn't even know were closed. Suddenly, it doesn't matter if you laugh too loud or cry during commercials or take up ballroom dancing even if you've got 2 left feet. Because when you stop worrying about what others might say, you start living from a place of authenticity. And nothing feels better than being fully, unapologetically yourself. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you said no to something just to avoid feeling judged? How many experiences, friendships, or even dreams have you quietly set aside because you were afraid of how they'd be perceived? If you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you say? Maybe something like, "Don't worry so much. Just go for it. Life isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about being real." And the truth is, the people who truly matter in your life, they love you for who you are, not who you're pretending to be. They don't need you to be polished or perfect. They just want you to be present,
Honest. Real.
and when you show up that way, something incredible happens. You give them permission to do the same. Now let's look at this from another angle. When you let go of worrying about what others think, you also start to reconnect with the you that may have been buried under years of expectations. That creative spark you had when you were a kid?
It's still there.
The sense of wonder, the boldness to try something new, the joy of doing something just for fun, it never really left. It just got quiet for a while.
And now?
Now is the perfect time to let it shine again. I once met a woman named Elaine, in her early 70s, who told me that her biggest regret wasn't anything she did, it was everything she didn't do because she was too concerned about what others might think. She always wanted to sing, but someone once told her she didn't have a good voice, so she stayed quiet. At 71, she finally joined a local community choir. She said the first rehearsal felt like breathing for the first time in years. "I don't care if I'm off key," she told me. "I'm doing this for me." And let me tell you, her face lit up like a Christmas tree. That's what we're after here, not perfection,
Not approval.
just that feeling of doing something that fills you up from the inside out. That's where happiness lives. And the funny thing is, once you stop trying to please everyone else, you often find the people who really get you. People who share your values, your sense of humor, your interests. People who make you feel accepted just as you are. But you can't find them if you're too busy wearing a mask. Let's not forget something else too. Most of the time, people are too wrapped up in their own lives to pay as much attention to ours as we think. We imagine everyone is watching, judging, noticing our every move, but the truth is, they're probably not.
And even if they are?
That's their business, not yours. What someone else thinks about you doesn't define your worth.
Never has. Never will.
So what if someone doesn't like what you're doing?
That's okay.
You're not for everyone, and everyone's not for you. Life isn't a popularity contest. It's about being true to yourself and building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. One of the most powerful things you can do is learn to trust your own voice. After all, you've made it this far. You've weathered storms.
You've grown. You've loved. You've lost.
And through it all, you've learned. That wisdom matters. Your opinions, your stories, your choices, they all matter. Don't let fear of judgment keep you from expressing them.
And you know what? It's okay to be different.
It's okay to age in a way that doesn't match what society tells you is acceptable. So you have gray hair, beautiful. So you dress comfortably instead of trendy, smart. So you spend your time gardening instead of scrolling through social media, lovely. You don't have to follow the crowd to be happy. In fact, most people don't find peace until they stop trying to fit in and start standing tall in their own truth. There's something incredibly inspiring about someone who's comfortable in their own skin. They walk into a room and you can feel it. Not because they're loud or flashy, but because they radiate confidence. And that kind of confidence? It doesn't come from youth or beauty or money.
It comes from self-acceptance.
From finally realizing that who you are is enough. So if you've ever caught yourself saying, "I wish I didn't care so much what people think," this is your sign. You can change that. You can start letting go, a little at a time. And it starts with just noticing the moments when that old habit pops up, and gently choosing a different path. Say yes to the things you want to do. Say no to the things that don't feel right.
Speak up.
Laugh loudly.
Take up space.
You've spent a lifetime showing up for others. Now it's time to show up for you. And as we move forward together, we'll look at some powerful practical ways to do just that. When you really think about it, so much of what holds us back isn't about real danger or actual obstacles. It's about imagined fears. What if they think I'm foolish? What if I make a mistake and people laugh? What if they don't approve? These questions creep in like little whispers that grow louder if we don't learn how to quiet them. But here's the catch. Those whispers don't have any real power unless we give it to them. You know what's stronger than any of those doubts? Your own experience.
Your life.
Everything you've lived through has built a foundation that's much stronger than someone else's opinion.
You've seen the ups and downs of life.
You've made tough choices, raised families, survived heartbreak, built careers, reinvented yourself more times than you probably even remember.
That's strength. That's real.
And it deserves to be respected, most of all by you. It's so easy to forget just how much we've already accomplished. We get caught up comparing ourselves to others. We look at social media, we see younger generations moving fast, doing things differently, and maybe even think, am I falling behind? But what if I told you that there is no behind? Life isn't a race or a checklist. You don't need anyone's timeline to validate your journey. You are exactly where you need to be. And the most powerful thing you can do right now is start showing up for yourself. Not out of pride, not to prove anything, but simply because you deserve to live freely and joyfully. Now let's talk about another reason it's so important to stop worrying about what others think, because it gives you your time back. Think about how much energy we waste overanalyzing things. You go to a party and wonder if you said the wrong thing. You wear something new and worry someone might judge your appearance. You hesitate to share an opinion because someone might not agree. That kind of overthinking can feel exhausting. But when you stop giving so much weight to others' opinions, you suddenly have more mental space, more energy, to put toward the things that really matter to you. I remember chatting with a gentleman named George who retired a few years ago. He told me how, for most of his life, he did everything by the book. He worked hard, kept his head down, dressed a certain way, never rocked the boat. After retirement, he started painting again, something he hadn't done since his early 20s. He loved it, but at first, he kept it secret. He was afraid his friends wouldn't take him seriously. But one day, he brought a painting to a local art show. He was shaking as he walked in, completely convinced someone would laugh or criticize it. But you know what happened? A woman walked up to him and said, "This reminds me of my childhood. Thank you for painting it." That moment changed everything for George. He told me, "I wasted so much time worrying about people who weren't even paying attention. And the one person I could have helped, I almost missed her." That story always sticks with me because it reminds us that self-expression isn't selfish. When we stop hiding parts of ourselves, when we let go of the need for approval, we give the world something real. Something needed. Whether it's your words, your laughter, your kindness, your creativity, your light helps someone else find theirs. But that only happens when you stop dimming it to fit in. It's also worth talking about how comparison plays into all of this. It's human nature to compare ourselves to others, We've all done it. But as we get older, those comparisons can start to feel heavier. Maybe your friend seems more social, or your neighbor seems more active, or someone you know is constantly sharing glamorous vacation photos. But remember, you're not seeing the full story. You're seeing a highlight reel, not the behind the scenes. And no two lives are meant to look exactly the same. Your path is uniquely yours. And every wrinkle, every scar, every story, it's yours alone. That's something to be proud of. Instead of thinking, why don't I have what they have? Try asking, what do I have that I love?
Shift the focus inward.
You'll be amazed how much happier you feel when you stop measuring your life against someone else's.
One woman I know, her name's Linda, told me something beautiful.
She said, I used to think I needed to be more like other women my age. More outgoing, more fit, more fashionable.
But then I realized, I'm me.
I like quiet mornings. I like baking bread from scratch. I like crossword puzzles and gardening and watching documentaries.
I may not be flashy, but I'm fulfilled.
And once I stopped comparing, I started blooming in my own way. That's what this is all about. Living in a way that feels right to you. And you don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't owe the world a justification for your happiness. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to say, this is what I want, especially if it's different from what people expect. Maybe your family thinks you should be more involved in certain activities. Maybe your friends don't understand why you prefer staying home over traveling. But here's the truth. You don't need to bend yourself out of shape to keep everyone else comfortable. This stage of life is for you. You've spent so much time giving to others, and that's beautiful. But now it's okay to give to yourself too. To listen to your needs, your dreams, your desires. And to follow them, not because anyone else says it's okay, but because you finally say it's okay. And this doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It just means you stop letting their opinions steer the ship. You can love people, respect them, and still choose your own direction. That's not selfish.
That's healthy.
It's a sign of growth, of confidence, of self-love. And here's another thing that happens when you start trusting yourself more. You become more open to joy. You start noticing the little things again. The way the sun filters through the window in the morning. The sound of laughter drifting from the neighbor's house.
The smell of fresh coffee.
These simple, beautiful things begin to matter more than someone's passing judgment or offhand remark. Because you're no longer living for the applause, you're living for the experience. And when you do that, you start attracting the right kind of people. People who lift you up instead of weighing you down. People who celebrate your quirks instead of criticizing them. People who are drawn to your light because it reminds them to shine too. That's the kind of life we're all capable of living. One filled with authenticity, connection, and freedom. Now, I won't pretend this is always easy. There will be moments when the old fears creep back in. When you catch yourself wondering, what will they think?
And in those moments, just pause. Breathe.
And ask yourself a new question instead, what do I think? What feels right to me? That one simple shift in thinking can change your whole day, sometimes even your whole life. You are wiser now. Stronger than you've ever been. You've got stories to tell, lessons to share, and a whole lot of life still ahead. Why spend any more of it holding yourself back? Why keep dimming your spark just to fit into someone else's mold? You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to explain your choices to everyone. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. And I promise, that's more than enough. It's time to stop playing small. Time to stop doubting yourself. Time to stand tall in who you are, what you believe, and how you choose to live your life. And it's never too late to start. Sometimes the most freeing moment is when you realize you've got nothing left to prove. Not to the neighbors, not to distant relatives, not to anyone on social media, and certainly not to people who never truly saw the real you in the first place. And that kind of freedom, where your happiness no longer hinges on someone else's reaction, it's like taking a deep breath after holding it in for years. The truth is, you get one life. Just one. And as the years go by, you realize time is not something to waste on second-guessing yourself or seeking approval from people who might never give it. You've earned the right to walk your own path now, with your head high and your heart full. And it's not selfish.
It's not arrogant. It's liberating.
We spend so much of our earlier lives being shaped by other people's voices, what to do, how to behave, how to dress, what's appropriate. But eventually, if we're lucky, we wake up and say, wait a minute, what do I want? And maybe for the first time in decades, we give ourselves permission to answer that honestly. You want to wear the bold red lipstick? Wear it. You want to start writing poetry or learning the guitar at 70? Go for it. You want to skip the family reunion because it drains you?
That's okay. You're not here to perform. You're here to live.
And you know what happens when you stop caring so much about what others think?
You become more present.
You stop watching yourself from the outside, and you just exist, right here in the moment. You laugh without wondering if you're too loud. You dance without checking if anyone's watching. You speak from the heart because there's no fear of being judged anymore. That's when life gets really beautiful. Now, this doesn't mean you stop growing or improving. It just means you stop doing it for someone else's validation. Growth becomes about joy, not pressure. You want to learn something new?
Wonderful.
You want to break old habits?
Beautiful.
But you're doing it for you, not to impress a neighbor or meet some imaginary standard. And it's funny, once you stop worrying about what others think, you begin to notice how many people are still stuck in that mindset. You'll see it in their body language, their words, their hesitations. You'll recognize it not with judgment, but with compassion, because you've been there. And sometimes, your courage to be fully yourself gives them permission to do the same. That's what makes this shift so powerful. It's not just about you, it creates a ripple effect. When you let go of fear and start embracing who you are, you light the way for others to do it too. And that's especially important in this stage of life, because older adults, especially women, but men too, often feel like they have to disappear. Like their time to shine has passed. But that's just not true. In fact, I'd say the later years can be the most authentic years. You're not trying to impress a boss anymore. You're not raising kids or juggling everyone else's schedules. You finally get to ask, what fills me up? And then actually make space for it. That's rare. That's sacred. And if you've spent years hiding parts of yourself, whether it was your opinions, your passions, your personality, it's not too late to let those pieces out. One of the most powerful things you can say at this point in life is, "This is who I am." And then let the chips fall where they may. Because the people who truly matter will love you for that. And the ones who don't? Well, they were never really your people to begin with. Now, if this all sounds easier said than done, I hear you. Letting go of people-pleasing is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. But it starts with tiny choices, little acts of bravery that say, "Today I choose me." Maybe it's speaking up when you used to stay quiet. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's saying no to something you used to agree to out of guilt. And you know what happens each time you make one of those choices? Your confidence grows. It might not feel like a dramatic change, but inside, something is shifting. You're reclaiming your voice, your time, your energy. And that adds up. One day, you'll look back and realize you've built a life that finally fits you. There's something else I want to say, and it might be the most important part. You are not too old to matter.
Not by a long shot.
I don't care what society says, or how youth-obsessed the media is. Wisdom, kindness, and authenticity never go out of style.
And you, my friend, are still needed. Still valuable.
Still capable of so much love, joy, creativity, and impact. You're not in the background, you're still on the stage. And whether your days are quiet or full of activity, whether you live alone or surrounded by loved ones, whether you feel fulfilled or still searching, you belong. You don't need anyone's permission to feel that way. You can claim it now. And if you're wondering where to even begin, how to stop caring about what others think after decades of doing just that, start with this. Notice when it happens. Notice the moments you hesitate, not because it's wrong, but because you're afraid of how it will look.
Catch those moments.
And then ask yourself, if no one else was watching, what would I do?
Then do that.
And let yourself feel the freedom that comes with it. It might feel strange at first, like wearing a new pair of shoes. But in time, it starts to feel natural.
Even joyful.
You'll realize that life is too short to play small. That you were never meant to live by someone else's rulebook. That being yourself isn't risky, it's necessary. Because when you're truly yourself, that's when the right people find you. That's when peace finds you. That's when purpose begins to unfold naturally, without forcing anything. You begin to attract experiences that nourish you, instead of draining you. You feel more at home in your own skin than you ever did before. And that's a beautiful thing. Because this chapter, your After 60 chapter, isn't about fading out. It's about shining differently. Softer perhaps. But brighter too. It's about taking up space, not loudly but confidently. It's about finally understanding that your worth was never tied to other people's opinions in the first place. So here's my invitation to you, live a little louder. Laugh a little longer. Wear what you love, say what you mean, rest when you need, and walk away when something doesn't feel right. Trust that you know what's best for you. And if someone disagrees,
Let them.
that's their journey, not yours. The only opinion that really matters at the end of the day is the one you hold of yourself. So treat yourself kindly. Speak to yourself with encouragement, not criticism. Be proud of the life you've built, and excited for what's still to come. Because even now, especially now, your story is still being written. There's no final chapter yet. Just another page, waiting to be filled with something real.
Something beautiful.
Something you. If this message touched you in any way, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had a moment where you let go of what others thought, and felt free because of it? Share your story, you never know who it might inspire. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartfelt content like this.
You're not alone. You're not behind. You're not too late.
You are right on time. Here's to living with confidence, peace, and joy, at any age. And here's to being fully, unapologetically you. You deserve that.
Always have.